There is another key condition for recovery, and it's not in place: credit. The availability of mortgage loans from banks not only affects people's ability to buy a house, but also the price they can pay for it.
The Irish banks are fighting effectively to survive day to day, week to week. They're not interested in getting into 25, 30-year lending cycles.
The Irish banks are broken and struggling for survival. This has reduced their ability to lend.
Well, they are lending. If we just look at the figures which we ourselves publish in new lending for the mortgage market, there's been over 1.2 billion lent in the first 6 months of the year to about 6,800 mortgage borrowers.
Lending is down 90% in terms of the amount of money being lent and 90% in terms of the number of loans that are being advanced. We're likely to see the lowest number of loans issued in 40 years. So yes, banks are lending at 1971 levels.
Demand is part of the problem. People are reluctant to borrow, and it's not just the borrowers that are wary. The governor of the central bank himself gives us an indication why levels are low.
Banks are not lending because they have been burnt in the property market, and they are very cautious to make sure that new loans they make will not be subject to criticism.
Irish banks lent recklessly in the boom, and now they're paying the price. The money tap will only begin to flow again when their reputation is restored at home and abroad. Then they can start to resume normal lending. That's not the only factor. Prices must bottom out first.
Banks will lend when both they and the borrowers and the purchasers of houses are confident that they're getting the house at a fair, sustainable price. And I think we're getting close to that point.
Banks will remain cautious, but will gradually rediscover their appetite for reasonable lending risk as they repair themselves over the next 2 to 3 years. The third condition we need for recovery is a growing economy. People won't make big purchases if they're feeling financially squeezed.
People are very uncertain about the outlook for the economy. They're very uncertain about the outlook for their jobs and for incomes. And given the investment that's required to buy a house, I think people are very cautious.
Ireland's unemployment rate is high at 14%. In 2008 and 2009 alone, over 254,000 more people were signing on. The figure for the last 20 months was over 17,000. That's still high, but it does suggest the big waves of job losses may have ended. The economy is not yet ready for real job creation, but recent figures show it has begun to grow tentatively. But there are some positive factors.
Ireland is a powerful exporter of goods, and that's a very important predeterminer of economic health. I think we're well on the way toward that. Combine that with the fact that we have a rapidly increasing young population, so you've got the engine and you've got the actual economic activity. So on those fronts, the future is very, very bright.
In the meantime, we have 3 more tough budgets to go. But if things go to plan, we could expect to see through the economic wilderness by 2014. Property prices should start to reflect this soon after. The question is, where will it happen first? Specific areas will see a recovery, while others could get left behind. Population is a key factor for recovery.